Captain Jake Morrison walked slowly into the alien ship. His heavy boots made loud sounds on the strange metal floor. The floor seemed to glow with its own light, like it was alive. This ship had been floating in empty space for 3 months. The human exploration ship Horizon found it at the edge of known space. What made this ship special was not just how advanced it looked. The really strange thing was that it kept sending the same message over and over in perfect English. "We need a human pilot." Jake stopped and looked around. The ship was huge and beautiful. It was almost 2 kilometers long with smooth, curved walls that no human engineer could design. The outside was made of some metal that nobody had ever seen before. When something damaged the hull, it fixed itself automatically. The hallways inside were lit by glowing panels. These panels got brighter when people walked near them, like they knew someone was coming. Dr. Lisa Carter walked beside Jake. She was the team's expert on alien life. She held a small scanner in her hand and pointed it at the wall controls. The scanner beeped and flashed with data. "Jake, look at these numbers," she said with excitement in her voice. "This ship's computer is not like ours at all. It seems to be part machine and part living thing. I think this ship might actually be alive." Commander Ryan Brooks followed behind them. He was a military man who did not trust things easily. His job was to keep the team safe. "A ship that asks for human pilots?" he said with doubt in his voice. "This sounds like the perfect trap to me. Or maybe it's just a very weird accident." The team walked through many corridors until they reached the main control room. Jake stopped and stared. The pilot's chair looked like it was made exactly for a human body. All around the chair were controls that looked alien but somehow felt familiar. When Jake stepped closer to the pilot's seat, lights suddenly turned on everywhere. Holographic screens appeared in the air, showing star maps and navigation information. The writing on the screens kept changing from alien symbols to English words and back again. Chief Engineer Bobby Walsh was examining the engine systems on his tablet computer. His eyes were wide with amazement. "Jake, you need to see this," he whispered. "This engine is impossible. According to these readings, this ship could fly across the entire galaxy in just a few weeks. Our fastest ships would take hundreds of years to do the same trip." Lisa walked over to another control panel and touched it carefully. "Everything in here responds to us," she said. "Look, when I put my hand near this screen, it lights up and shows me information. It's like the ship wants to communicate with us." But when the team tried to start the ship using their own computer systems, nothing worked. The ship stayed completely quiet and dark. All of its amazing technology refused to work with human machines. The team tried connecting their computers to the ship's systems, but every attempt failed. Then Jake decided to try something different. He saw what looked like a hand scanner near the pilot's chair. It was slightly green and felt warm to the touch. When Jake placed his hand on it, everything changed instantly. The ship came alive with a deep humming sound. Lights turned on everywhere. The air started moving through vents. Computer screens began showing information in dozens of languages. A voice suddenly spoke through speakers all around the bridge. It sounded old and wise, but also worried and scared. "Human pilot detected," the voice said clearly. "System authorization is starting. Warning, enemy ships are coming close. We must leave immediately." Jake turned to look out the big window at the front of the bridge. In the distance, he could see dark ships appearing out of nowhere. These ships looked dangerous and mean. They had sharp edges and lots of weapons. The weapons were already starting to glow with deadly energy. Ryan pulled out his weapon and checked it quickly. "Those are not human ships," he said in a serious voice. "Whoever they are, they don't look friendly." The alien ship's voice spoke again, this time with more urgency. "Harvester fleet detected. Human pilot, please take control now. If we do not leave right now, we will all die. Survival probability without immediate departure, 0%. Jake looked at his team. Lisa looked scared but excited. Bobby was still staring at his computer screen in amazement. Ryan was ready to fight, but he knew their small weapons would be useless against those big ships. The ship's voice spoke one more time. "Please, human pilot. Only you can fly this ship. Only you can save us all." Jake looked at his team. He could see fear and excitement in their eyes. The dark ships were getting closer. They were sending messages in a strange robot language that the computer could not understand. But their weapons were charging up, and that meant they wanted to fight. "Jake, you need to do something right now," Lisa said quickly. Her scanner showed that the enemy ships would be close enough to shoot at them in just a few minutes. Jake did not know what would happen, but he had to try. He sat down in the pilot's chair. The moment he did, the ship came alive like it had been sleeping and suddenly woke up. Systems that had been off for a very long time turned on with excitement. The controls felt right in his hands, like he had been flying the ship his whole life. Something very strange happened then. Jake could feel the ship's thoughts in his mind. The ship was happy to finally have a human pilot. It was also scared of the dangerous ships that were coming after them. Information started flowing into Jake's brain. He learned about the ship's power, its history, and the evil creatures that were trying to catch them. "Everyone hold on tight," Jake said. His voice sounded confident, which surprised him. His hands moved over the controls like he knew exactly what to do. The ship listened to every command perfectly. The ship started moving so fast it should have killed everyone inside. But some special system kept them safe and comfortable. They shot forward at speeds that seemed impossible. The enemy ships were left far behind, like they were not moving at all. The weapons they fired missed by huge distances. Bobby was watching his computer screen with his mouth open. "This is crazy," he said in amazement. "We just went from not moving to almost light speed in 10 seconds. This should be impossible. We should all be dead right now." But the ship was not finished showing what it could do. Jake somehow knew how to make it jump through space in a completely new way. Instead of the normal tunnel effect that human ships used, space folded around them like paper. Their destination became closer without them actually moving through the space in between. "Where are we going?" Ryan asked. He was trying to stay calm as reality bent and twisted around them. Jake knew the answer even though nobody told him. "To a safe place. The ship knows where we can hide. It will explain everything there." When they came out of the space jump, they were floating near a planet that looked impossible. It was clearly built by someone, not formed naturally. The materials it was made from seemed to change and shift like they could not decide what they wanted to be. Strange cities covered the surface, connected by rivers of pure energy that flowed like water made of light. The ship's voice spoke to them again. "Welcome to Haven Station. This was built by the Alliance of Free Worlds. It is a safe place for species running away from the Harvester expansion. Population, about 50 billion people from over 3,000 different worlds." As they flew closer to the planet, Jake started to understand how big this situation really was. This was not just about one alien ship or one species. This was about a war that had been going on across the entire galaxy for thousands of years. And humanity had just been asked to join the side that was losing. The planet was covered with space docks where ships from many different worlds were parked. Some ships looked like they were grown instead of built, like giant plants or trees. Others looked like they were made of crystal and sang with beautiful music. A few ships seemed to exist in several dimensions at the same time. "This is incredible," Lisa whispered as she looked out the window. "There are so many different types of life here. Some of these beings don't even look like they're made of normal matter." Bobby was still staring at his instruments. "The technology down there is beyond anything I can understand. Some of those ships are using energy sources that shouldn't exist." Ryan was thinking like a soldier. "If this place has 50 billion people from 3,000 worlds, and they're all running from something called harvesters, then whatever these harvesters are must be very, very dangerous." The ship began flying toward one of the docking areas. "Prepare for landing," it announced. "You will meet with Alliance representatives who will explain your situation. Please know that by bringing you here, I have changed your lives forever. You can never go back to the way things were before." Jake felt the weight of those words. Whatever was about to happen would change not just his life, but possibly the future of all humanity. The docking area at Haven Station was like nothing Jake and his team had ever seen. Ships from hundreds of different worlds floated in organized groups. Their designs were so different that it was hard to believe they were all spaceships. Some looked like they had been grown like plants instead of built with metal. Others appeared to be made of singing crystals that made beautiful music. A few ships seemed to exist in several different dimensions at the same time. A woman walked toward them as they left their ship. She looked human, but she wore clothes that seemed to be made from actual starlight. Her eyes looked tired, like someone who had seen too much sadness over many years. "Welcome to the war, Captain Morrison," she said in a simple way. "My name is Elena Rodriguez. I have been waiting 300 years for another human pilot to arrive." Jake stared at her, in shock. 300 years, but you look like you're only 30 years old?" Elena smiled sadly. "Time works differently when you travel between stars as much as I have. Come with me. There are things you need to know." They walked through corridors filled with beings that looked impossible. Some were like living crystals that glowed with inner light. Others looked like clouds of gas that could somehow think and talk. A few appeared to be made of pure mathematics, existing as floating equations that moved through the air. In a large meeting room, Elena began to tell them the truth. "The ship that chose you is called the Harmony. It is one of the last ships built by a race called the Architects. The Architects were very advanced beings who left this physical world long ago. Before they left, they built ships that could bond with certain types of minds." A being that looked like floating geometric shapes spoke next. Its voice sounded like music. "Human minds are special," it said. "You can think with logic and feel with emotion at the same time. You can make plans, but also act on instinct. This makes your brains perfect for controlling architect technology." Lisa raised her hand like she was in school. "What happened to the architects? Where did they go?" "They evolved beyond physical form," Elena explained. "But before they left, they knew a great danger was coming. They built ships like the Harmony to help other species fight this threat." Ryan, always thinking like a soldier, asked the important question. "What is this threat we're supposed to fight?" Elena's face became very serious. "They are called the Harvesters. They are ancient machines that eat entire star systems. They turn everything they find into more of themselves. They have been spreading across the galaxy for over 1,000,000 years, leaving nothing behind but empty space." The floating geometric being made sad musical sounds. "They have destroyed countless civilizations, billions of worlds, trillions of lives. They fear only one thing." "What do they fear?" Jake asked, though he was starting to guess the answer. "Ships like yours piloted by humans," Elena said. "Human minds think in ways that the Harvesters cannot predict. Your creativity and intuition, combined with architect technology, create strategies that the machines cannot understand or fight against." Bobby looked confused. "But if human pilots are so effective, why are you losing this war?" The silence that followed was very loud. Nobody wanted to answer that question. Elena finally spoke. "You are the first new human pilot we have seen in over 50 years. There are maybe 12 of us left spread across Alliance space. Earth's location has been kept secret. We have used false information and misdirection to hide it. But this protection will not last forever." Jake felt like a heavy weight had been placed on his shoulders. He was not just a pilot anymore. He might be humanity's only hope in a war that would decide if countless species lived or died. "What exactly do you want us to do?" Ryan asked in his military voice. "Go back to Earth," Elena said simply. "Bring back volunteers. Train them to pilot architect ships. Build a human fleet that can change the outcome of this war." Bobby whistled softly. "And what if Earth's governments do not believe any of this? What if they think we are crazy?" Elena's smile was grim and sad. "Then we will have to hope that 12 human pilots can hold the line until the Harvesters find Earth by themselves, because they will find it eventually. They always do." Lisa was looking at her scanner again. "How long do we have?" The Harvesters. "Move slowly but steadily," the geometric being answered. "They are careful and methodical, but our intelligence suggests they have already begun moving in Earth's direction. You might have 50 years, maybe 100. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the massive space station with its billions of refugees from thousands of worlds. All of them had lost their homes to the Harvesters, All of them were hoping that someone could stop the machines before they consumed everything. "There is something else you should know," Elena said quietly. "The Harmony did not find you by accident. Architect ships choose their pilots very carefully. It has been searching for you specifically, Jake Morrison, for a very long time." "Me specifically?" Jake turned around in surprise. "Why me? I'm just a regular pilot. There are millions of better pilots on Earth." "The architects could see possibilities across time," Elena explained. "They knew that when the harvesters finally threatened Earth, one specific person would be needed to save humanity. That person is you." The weight of destiny settled on Jake like a heavy blanket. Everything that had happened, everything that would happen, seemed to depend on choices he had not yet made. "So what happens now?" he asked. "Now you decide," Elena said. "Will you go back to Earth and try to save your species? Or will you stay here and help us hold the line with what little time we have left?" Jake looked at his team. Lisa looked scared, but determined. Bobby appeared overwhelmed but ready to help. Ryan looked like he was already planning a military campaign. "How long do we have to decide?" Jake asked. "The harvesters that chased you will report your location eventually," Elena said. "If you are going back to Earth, you should leave soon. Very soon." The trip back to Earth took 3 days on the Harmony. During this time, Jake learned how to really fly the ship instead of just operating it. The ship responded to his thoughts as much as his hands on the controls. It guessed what he needed, and changed its systems to match how he liked to fly. It was less like flying a machine and more like working with a very smart friend. "The ship really likes you," Lisa said while watching her instruments during one of their practice sessions. "I can see it in the readings. The ship's systems are actually changing to work better with your brain patterns." But as they got closer to Earth, Jake worried more and more about what they would find. 3 months was not long in space terms, but it was enough time for the harvesters to follow their path back to human space. Their worst fears came true when they arrived near Jupiter. The space stations around the outer planets were dark and silent. Instead of normal human signals, they could hear the mechanical sounds that meant harvesters were there. Earth itself looked normal, but huge alien structures were already being built in the asteroid belt. "We are too late," Ryan said grimly. His screen showed dozens of harvester ships moving through the solar system like a spreading disease. But Jake felt the Harmony's excitement instead of fear. The ship had been built for moments like this, designed to face impossible odds with human creativity as its greatest weapon. "No," Jake said, his hands moving over the controls with growing confidence. "We are right on time." The Harmony stopped, hiding, and sent a message on all frequencies, both to Earth and to the advancing harvesters. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Alliance ship Harmony. Any harvester ships in the solar system have 60 seconds to leave or be destroyed." The response was immediate. Dozens of harvester ships turned toward them, their weapons charging with enough power to destroy a small moon. On Earth, every government's emergency systems activated as they detected the alien presence that had somehow escaped their notice until now. What happened next was not a battle in any normal sense. It was a demonstration of what human unpredictability could do when paired with technology that responded to imagination instead of rigid programming. The Harmony did not just fight the harvesters, it danced around them, using tactics that defied both physics and logic. Jake found himself doing things that should have been impossible. He used the ship's reality-bending abilities in ways that even the architects probably had not imagined. He folded space to put harvester ships inside their own weapon blasts. He used time distortions to attack enemies before they had fired. He somehow convinced the universe that the Harmony was in 12 different places at once. Lisa watched in amazement as Jake performed maneuvers that broke every law of physics. She knew. "This is incredible," she said. "He is not just flying the ship. He is rewriting reality." Bobby was staring at his engineering displays with his mouth open. "The power readings do not make sense. We should not be able to do any of this. But somehow we are." Ryan, trained to understand military tactics, shook his head in disbelief. "Those harvester ships are using standard attack patterns. They are trying to predict what we will do next, but Jake is not following any pattern at all. He is just doing whatever feels right. When the last harvester ship limped away into hyperspace, Jake opened communication channels to Earth. Government leaders, military commanders, and scientists around the world listened in stunned silence as he explained what humanity had just been offered. "We can hide and hope the harvesters never find us," Jake said. The Harmony floated peacefully above Earth despite having just fought impossible odds. "Or we can join the Alliance, learn to pilot ships like this one, and help end a war that has been consuming the galaxy for 1,000,000 years." President Collins spoke for all the world leaders. "And if we refuse?" she asked. Her voice carried the weight of speaking for all humanity. Jake looked around the bridge at his team. These were people who had volunteered for what they thought was a simple exploration mission and found themselves at the center of galactic history. Then in 100 years, maybe 1,000, the harvesters will find Earth anyway. And when they do, we will face them alone, with technology that might as well be stone tools compared to what they have. The debate that followed lasted 6 months. Every country on Earth argued about what to do. Some wanted to hide and hope the harvesters would never find them. Others wanted to fight immediately. Many people did not believe the story at all. But Jake and his team traveled around the world, showing the Harmony to world leaders and scientists. They demonstrated its incredible abilities. They shared recordings of their conversations with the Alliance. Slowly, people began to believe. The outcome was never really in doubt. Humanity had always been explorers. They had always reached for the stars despite the dangers. The architect ships were just the next step in that eternal journey. Within 2 years, Earth's first pilot academy graduated its initial class of 25 human pilots. Within 5 years, a fleet of 30 human-piloted architect vessels was patrolling Alliance space. Within a decade, the harvesters encountered something they had never faced in 1,000,000 years of conquest: defeat. The war was not won easily or quickly, but for the first time since it began, the tide was turning. Human pilots, with their chaotic creativity and impossible intuition, proved capable of tactics that the harvesters simply could not predict or counter. Elena Rodriguez, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Alliance, often visited the new pilot academy. She watched young humans learning to bond with architect ships and smiled. "The galaxy has been waiting for you," she told each new class. "You are the chaos that breaks the machine logic. You are hope." And at the center of it all was the Harmony, the ship that had refused to fly without a human pilot, and Jake Morrison, the man who had answered its call when the galaxy needed heroes most. Years later, when historians tried to understand how the Galactic War had been won, they pointed to a single transmission sent from the edge of human space. "We need a human pilot." 4 simple words that changed the fate of the galaxy. 4 words that prove that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is not technology or weapons, but the unpredictable creativity of the human spirit.